Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, that's Spease. And today we're doing another ranking video. This time, the Universal Mummy movies. Now, these will be the old original Universal Monster movies. There were 6 movies in this series. So, like all of the other monster movie videos that I've been doing, I will be ranking them from the worst to the best. So, let me know what you think of the Universal Mummy movies. Which would you rank out of these 6 movies? And, as usual, if you like these videos that I've been doing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's get on with the ranking. Coming in at number 6, we have Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy from 1955. Let's make this clear. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is a classic compared to this movie. This movie is basically just Abbott and Costello being pursued by thieves that are trying to get the riches from the mummy's tomb that they find. And Abbott and Costello are just in the way of their plots and schemes and are attempting in a bumbling way to try and stop them. The mummy in the story is secondary and inconsequential to anything that is going on in this film. And I just think the mummy was played much more for comic relief as opposed to the way Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein took the character seriously, as did Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That one was, Boris Karloff took that role seriously and played it serious in there. So, yeah, this one is unfortunate. They even have the mummy being like a parody of the previous 4 films before it, which the mummy was called Caris in those films, and in this one they named the mummy Clarice. Hilarious. But yeah, definitely bottom of the barrel. Coming in at number 5, we have The Mummy's Hand from 1940. This film stars Dick Foran, Peggy Moran, and Wallace Ford, and playing Caris, the mummy, the first appearance of the mummy of Caris, is Tom Tyler, legendary Western actor and also known for playing Captain Marvel in the Adventures of Captain Marvel serial. This is really kind of a fun mummy movie. This is like if Stephen Sommers' mummy movies that came out later, more recent years and everything, if they would have came out in the 40s, that's what The Mummy's Hand is. Dick Foran and Wallace Ford have this, bickering comedy routine kind of thing that they have going on. You got Peggy Moran is the love interest and everything, and she to Dick Foran and everything, and they have really good chemistry together, and it's just more of a fun Universal monster movie instead of it's not one that you can really take too seriously, because you have the comic relief fun stuff with Wallace Ford in there. And he does really well in this. I really liked his performance. He's very likable, as is Dick Foran. All three leads were great in this. And, of course, you have George Zucco, who's another legendary character actor of the 30s and 40s, playing the Egyptian that basically is trying to control and wanting to use Karras in this. But yeah, and Tom Tyler's pretty good as playing in the earlier scenes where they're flashing back to him in Egyptian times, and then seeing him come forward as the mummy. He makes an okay physical representation of the mummy later, but he was much better in the Egyptian scenes where he's playing the character non-mummy form as Karras. But yeah, not the worst in this series. But it's just a fun movie. Not so much a horror kind of film, but a fun film. Coming in at number 4, we have The Mummy's Tomb from 1942. Now this one is the first appearance as the mummy, Karras, by Lon Chaney Jr. And unlike Tom Tyler, who we see in here because they don't redo his back history, and this is a direct follow-up to The Mummy's Hand. So we actually still see Tom Tyler playing the human version of the living version, if you will, of Karras. And Lon Chaney Jr. only plays him in the mummy form in this. But his physicality, because of such a... much like I said in my review for the Hammer films, just like Christopher Lee, Lon Chaney Jr. has the physical stature to play this character and make him imposing and intimidating. And he does that in this film. And it's such a hard turn to go from The Mummy's Hand into this film, though, because in The Mummy's Tomb, we get the return of Dick Foran and Wallace Ford reprising their roles as their characters, as we do also get the reprise of George Zucco, who is still out for revenge against Dick Foran and Wallace Ford. And sadly, the film does go that far, and he does get his revenge, and Karras does end up killing both Wallace Ford and Dick Foran's characters that were known for The Mummy's Hand. This is older, this is like 20 years after The Mummy's Hand, I believe. And Dick Foran's Stephen Banning has a son in this, played by John Hubbard, and he ends up being the main kind of hero in the story. But yeah, it's definitely a 180 from The Mummy's Hand, where it was more, played for laughs and was more just a fun adventure film. This one is definitely veering into the horror aspects and is really well done. I appreciate this film. Coming in at number 3, we have The Mummy from 1932. Yep. The original classic is not my number 1. Shocker. Most of that is because, yes, Karloff does a great job shooting some of this, but it is more still similar to that Todd Browning, nail the frickin' camera to the damn floor and just shoot static shots. So it makes it less interesting. I mean, there are a few really good shots in here, such as the scenes with Boris Karloff and Zita Johann sitting around by the pool, and you have a nice little zoom in on him as he's talking to her, and then it zooms down into the pool as we get the flashback to when Boris Karloff's mummy was executed and everything and became the mummy. He is not like any of the other mummies. He is only in the wrap, in the mummy form, per se, for like 2 minutes of screen time, if that. You see him come wake up from open his eyes, come out of the tomb, and then he makes the one guy that sees him kind of snap and go crazy. So, yeah. The rest of the movie, he's just looking like some Egyptian of the time, a more modern Egyptian, 1930s Egyptian character in there, and it's kind of strange. I do like the fact that he is trying to romance Zita Johann, so he keeps, doing a Dracula thing where he keeps mesmerizing her and everything, trying to get her to join him. And he's trying to get the soul of Unxanamen in her body. And then you have her love interest is David Manners, who I just think this guy is a boring ass actor. He's just as wooden as can be. He's one of those actors in the 30s films that just never interested me. I mean, his performances were always just bland. So the best other performance in this film is Edward Van Sloan. Once again, I mean, he was in Dracula, he was in Frankenstein, and now he's in The Mummy. He was the mainstay of these first movies, and he's always solid in every one. This one, he gets a little better role than he did in Frankenstein, because Frankenstein, he was only in it for a little bit at the beginning as the mentor figure, and then he got killed. And this one, he's sort of like, to this mummy, to Karloff's mummy, he is kind of the Van Helsing of this story. This is really more akin to Dracula than it is a mummy film. Like I said, the only time it feels like a real mummy film is in that moment at the beginning when you see him in the tomb, and then he opens his eyes and moves, and then he's just some Egyptian bad guy that's wanting Unxanamen resurrected. It is it's a slow movie, and the scenes with him and Zita Johann, like I said, are probably the best shot scenes in the film. When they do those Bela Lugosi lighting his eyes and where he's hypnotizing her and stuff like that. That's interesting, but I don't picture a mummy doing that. So it's just so off-putting to do that in the story. So that's why it's my number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have The Mummy's Curse from 1944. Now this one stars, of course, Lon Chaney Jr. returning in the role of Karras. And it picks up right where The Mummy's Ghost ended, with the mummy has went into the swamp and basically killed his love with him, Princess Ananka. And she's played in this one by Virginia Christine, and she's good in the role. I don't know if she's as good as our original actress from The Mummy's Ghost. It picks up in a really cool way. I love how a movie, any movie where it picks up right where the last film left off, and and goes and takes characters that you established in the previous film into. That's why I liked Mummy's Tomb in comparison to Mummy's Hand. And this picks up right after the Mummy's Ghost and everything, with the mummy being brought back by, this time it's Peter Coe is playing a younger variation of the George Zuko Egyptian character who is in control of Karis in a way. He doesn't end well for Peter Coe's character in this, though, because there's only so much shit that Karis, Lon Chaney Jr.'s mummy, takes before he finally throttles somebody. And he does it in this. At the end of this, we get, it's over. And just tears the place apart, causing it to collapse and just kill both of them. It was a cool ending to the basic series, because this was the end. This was the last of the films until they decided to do Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy, which had no connection to this. But yeah, this film, I really like this film. That it's a very exciting, horrific thing where you're getting to see the physicality of Lon Chaney Jr.'s mummy, where he is killing people left and right. I mean, there's a lot of death in this. It's a really good horror film. So that's why it makes my number 2. And coming in at number 1, we have The Mummy's Ghost from 1944. This one we get the return of Lon Chaney Jr. as Karis. We get Ramsey Ames as Amina, and she is just, I liked her a lot better than Virginia Christine in The Mummy's Curse when she took over the role, because like I said, this one took place right before The Mummy's Curse. You have John Carradine in here playing Yusef Bey, who's working with George Zuko's high priest, and he of course wants the mummy for himself to use for his own demented ways. So he takes over as more the lead baddie in control of Karis for a while, instead of George Zuko in this one. So until the end, where of course, like I said previously, there's only so long you can control Lon Chaney Jr.'s Karis before he finally just grabs you by the throat and just throttles your ass. So John Carradine does not last long by the end of the film. And the reason this one is my number 1 is it is one of the very few times where a mummy wins. Yes, Karis takes Anima, takes Ramsey, carries her into the swamp with him, and she basically dies alongside him as he takes her into the swamp. He wins. He got his reborn version of his great love, and he went into the swamp with her to where she, growing old while she's going into the swamp, dies alongside him. So he got a happy ending in a way. Till of course, the Mummy's Curse, where they bring him back, and they end up bringing in Virginia Christine to take her place. I really liked Ramsey Ames, though, a lot better in the role. She just gave the character such a likability. Robert Lowry plays her boyfriend in this, but he couldn't save the day. Sorry, man. You failed. But this is my number one, just because, I mean, it's so unique to get to see the Mummy win. He doesn't get stopped in the end. It is a win. A win. So, what do you think? What is your ranking of the 6 Universal Mummy movies? Do you agree with my list? Let me know in the comments down below. And as usual, if you like these videos that I've been doing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because it really does help the channel out a lot. And we are still in October, so don't forget to stick around. We'll have more videos coming. Thanks for watching.